today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about
How to find the silver lining in those vacation money fights. The fact is that vacation should be a time for relaxation and enjoyment. But for many couples, there are times when it can be a source of stress and conflict. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship, and welcome to the episode on the vacation budget battles and how to find the silver lining. The fact is that vacation should be a time for relaxation and enjoyment, but for many couples, I dare say even most couples, there are times when it can be a source of stress and conflict. In fact, the statistics show that 76% of all marriages fight about money. And I promise you that vacation is a great time to do that. Budget battles come up in a lot of different contexts. They come up when there is a budget and somebody wants to spend outside of it. They come up when there's no budget and people are just dang uncomfortable about how much to spend. In fact, so many of us take vacations without even thinking about how much we should spend. Sometimes budget battles come up when we're staying in the budget, but one partner's just like, this is awful. I could tell you stories. Actually, I'll tell you a story. I once arranged for a family trip. We were going to go visit someone, and I remember reserving a hotel rooms in this hotel that had a great pool. And I thought, this is amazing. I got this great deal on hotels.com. And we got there, and the rug, like in the hallway, was like caked with slime, because it was a serious vacation pool place. And we thought, oh, we can get past that. We got to the room, and I went into the bathroom, and I swear to God, the kitchen sink was like in my head. And I came out and I said, honey, I know I made this reservation. And she's laughing. Thank God she was laughing at this point. I said, we got to get out of here. She said, no kidding. Actually, what she said was, no shit, Sherlock. And so she then took over, and I did not fight about how much more we were spending because I had taken us to such a horrendous place. That could have been much worse. Fortunately, we were all on the same page that I blew that. Things that can trigger these fights are people can have different mindsets about money. One person may have grown up with the idea that there's a lot of money and it's always available. And another person might have grown up with the idea that money is something you should be frugal with and careful about. And the trick is spotting the silver lining when these battles come up. The example I gave you of the trip that I took with my family, I clearly had the scarcity, I'm going to call it scarcity mindset, or let's call it frugal, because scarcity sounds really just awful. Like, oh my God, there isn't any. And it wasn't so much that I was thinking there isn't any. It's that as the person who created the budget for the family, I had a very set idea on what we could and should be spending. And I knew that if we spent more than that, we would be taking it from some other dream, some other place, or that more money would have to be earned, which is not something I really wanted to think about on vacation, right? My wife, on the other hand, was all about, we're on vacation. We should be having a good time. If we spend more money now, we're going to need to make more later, and we will. That's okay. Like, her focus was so much on the well-being of the family and the overall experience, while mine was really limited to cost. Now, fortunately, the experience was so awful that even my nitpicky budgeted mindset could surrender and crash in that moment. And that's not always what happens, though. Sometimes what happens is the person who is minding the spending plan, let's call it, is so entrenched that they can't laugh and move on and surrender. And that's when the really good fights come up. And you can see there's validity to both of these positions. As a family, we should be enjoying ourselves. It's our time to relax. Hey, money that we spend now is either money we won't have when we come back from vacation or money that I'm going to have to work extra hard to earn. There's validity to both positions. The question is, how do you find the silver lining? And how do you not lean into mad toxicity? If we're honest, that fight, the budget fight, the money fight, usually we slip into a mindset of not abundance or scarcity. We slip into a mindset of, I'm going to freaking win. I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm going to win. And not only am I going to win, but you're going to lose. I'm going to get my way, and you're not going to get yours. And what we fail to recognize in those moments, when we put on that attitude, when we're ready for a fight, is that when our partner loses and we win, we actually lose. There are a lot of ways that we lose. One, we love them and we want them to be happy. If they're unhappy and feel like they've been put under our thumb in some way and they're unhappy, it's going to impact us, right? I mean, in a partnership, everyone needs to be feeling as happy as they can given the circumstances. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen in one individual's life that'll bring them down and we can't rescue them from that. What I'm saying is, when we're having a fight, if one person feels like they've lost, it's going to bring us down. They're either going to pay us back down the line, or they're just going to be miserable. And it's not going to be, and on a vacation, having your partner be miserable, that's like the last place in the world you want them. If you want them to be miserable where you can't see them. And I'm going to tell you that even then, it doesn't work. So when one or both of us has the mindset of, I'm going to win, you're going to lose, I am taking prisoners today, it's a lose-lose for both. The only mindset that's going to work is a win-win. The only mindset that's going to work is acknowledging the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree with it, understanding it, right? And this is the silver lining, by the way. The silver lining here is to celebrate the different perspectives. In a healthy, joyful, abundant marriage/partnership, it's the A, recognition of the differences, B, the creation of something new out of those differences where everybody wins, that C, creates the joy and the abundant mindset, the abundant experience, right? In that moment, in that story I told you about when I took my kids and wife to this truly ratty resort, and we all recognized it was a bad choice, right? We went to a regular hotel, like a regular motel that didn't have anything fancy. And we were all so relieved that it was clean. We were all so relieved, and it actually didn't cost that much more. We all were also relieved to be out of that place. Actually, the joy came out of, boy, we really dodged a bullet there. Can you imagine if we had stayed there? And they fought with us about it, by the way. I mean, when back then anyway, when you reserved a hotel through hotels.com or Expedia or whatever service you were using, you were kind of committed. You had prepaid. And what got us out of it was I made it clear to the owners that we weren't receiving what had been advertised and that we would complain about them to the third party through which we rented it. And fortunately, even though it was kind of skanky, they were super busy. There are a lot of people who apparently aren't concerned about greasy carpets and sinks in their heads. So because we were able to work through that without being positioned, because I didn't get stuck on the money, because she wasn't vindictive about how could you take us to a place like this, because none of that stuff came up this time. You know, we were able to work through the experience in a way that was joyful and felt abundant, even though the Motel 6 or wherever the hell we landed with our 99 kids, you know, it wasn't a Ritz-Carlton. You know, it seemed like Shangri-La after that place. So first, you want to identify the differences and talk about them. And we still laugh about that hotel today. You also want to be really emotionally aware in these moments where the opportunity to spend more than anticipated comes up for whatever reason, justified or not, in your own mind or their mind. All right. You need to be aware of what emotions are coming up for you. Is there fear? Is there hurt? Is there sadness? Particularly if you're a guy, because what we like to do when those feelings come up is we go, Oh, hurt, sadness, fear. Those are not empowering feelings. Anger, that's something I can roll with. I'm going to give you another one, though. Humor is actually incredibly empowering. Right? In this instance, I was able to laugh about this place because it was just so phenomenally awful. I could have gotten really angry and fearful about it. I could have gone to the place, and actually, when I met with the hotel manager, that was a place where I let some of that feeling show up. It's like, hey, look, when we looked at the ad, this is not what we signed up for. This is not, we didn't pay for this. And that feeling, that emotion was actually useful in that context. But with my wife, not so much. Right. So, guys, we need to be careful about when and where we're going to lean into that emotion and where is it going to be useful. And here's the other thing is we need to measure whether we are having a level of anger that's appropriate to the situation. The level of anger that I brought to that manager on a scale of 1 to 10 was about a 3. I got a little resistance. I upped it to a 4. He saw that I was serious and that I was willing to up the game. And that was when things chilled out. I didn't go to him with a 10, with a WTF, dude. Again, there wasn't any of that going on. I saved that for special occasions. Or if we're really triggered, guys, let's be honest, we can walk into a situation like this. Our wife can say, hey, I went to the bathroom and the sink hit me in the head. What kind of place did you take us to? And we could go, what are you talking about? I worked so hard to find this place. Da, 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 da. I mean, that could have been a way that played out had I been triggered. And what we need to notice is where on the scale is our emotion? Is it 0 to 100 miles an hour? Is it 70 miles an hour? Is it 80 miles an hour? Is it 60 miles an hour? And how fast are we going there? Is it Tesla fast, right? Where you step on the pedal and you're there? Or is it 4-cylinder engine fast where you step in the engine and it sort of goes, what? Huh? You're angry? I didn't even notice, right? We need to look at what's the reaction time and how far are we going? And if we're going far and fast, like Tesla fast high, then probably we're overreacting. And overreacting doesn't mean that the reaction is wrong. It means the level of reaction is inappropriate. Having that awareness allows us to take a deep breath and reset. I'm still laughing about that situation. That emotional awareness and taking the time to reset is what gives us the space for healthy communication, right? In that example that I gave you, there was actually a lot of healthy communication, and it was so painful, it was funny. Sometimes it's just painful though. And when it's just painful, like when you're really tired and you've been driving a long time and it doesn't seem like there are any other options and you feel like you're trapped, those are the moments when you're most likely to be triggered. And that's the biggest opportunity for toxic communication. And that is when it's healthy to take a quick walk, say a prayer, do some deep breathing, get a snack. You might be hangry, any of those things. And then return to the communication. And when you return to the communication first, listen to what your partner has to say about their experience, position, direction they want to go. It might be healthy to practice repeating it back to them so you can make sure that you got it using slightly different words. We've got exercises for that here in Rich in Relationship. Or if you're having some anger, it might be healthy to express it as I am feeling angry when I arrive at a place that I think is amazing and you tell me that you don't like it just because the sink is in your head or because the carpet is greasy. I just don't understand. If that's your honest reaction, starting out with the words I feel when because is a more responsible way to express the anger. It's going to keep you from being overreactive and it's going to make it something that your partner can receive. Suggestions. If you want to avoid this altogether, you want to create a spending plan together. And in that spending plan, you're going to want to balance out what's the experience we want to have with what's the money that we have available. And do we really want to dip into our credit card for a bigger experience? When people do the Disney thing, I would strongly suggest if you're going to go to a theme park, first of all, don't go to a cheap hotel in Massachusetts that has greasy carpets, a pool that's filled with urine, and a bathroom where the sink is in your head. Spend money on a better experience. Spend money on a well-known theme park. Go there at a time when it's not too terribly crowded if possible. Be willing to spend more. Make sure that when you go to big theme parks that you take time for everyone to chill out. You don't want to be there like um, the I will tell you, as the squeeze the most out of life guy, getting the most bang for the buck guy. The first time I took my kids to a theme park, we were like soldiers. We got there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I think we left at 6 o'clock at night. And it was by the time 11 a.m. came, we were or 12, we really were done. What we learned, what even I learned from that, being the budget minded guy, was you're better off spending 4 or 5 hours at a theme park and then checking out, or and maybe coming back if you're recharged or not. But have that kind of planning that the it's not about seeing everything or having everything for the amount of money that you have. It's about having the best possible experience given how much energy and focus everybody has in the time. So part of your planning needs to involve that. What are the limits? What's the age of our children? How much can they take? What do people suggest that we do? Um, if you've got no money, then create a no money vacation and make sure that you include activities that everyone really likes. I mean, truthfully, what makes the vacation special is taking the time together, doing things that everyone enjoys, even if it's really simple, in a relaxed and happy way. It's not necessarily about having the best accommodations or having the best place to go or spending a ton of money, though it can be, that can be fun too, but in times of more fiscal belt tightening, actually not even that. Always think, A, what does everybody like doing? B, what's a way we can do this where we will all feel relaxed and happy? Super, super important. C, vacations are also about rest. If we are marching like soldiers through the whole vacation, the vacation will end with us being exhausted, maybe in a bad way. So make sure that you have those elements, things that everyone enjoys, that everyone feels comfortable with the vacation, whether you have an abundance mindset or a thrifty mindset, that everyone feels comfortable with it, and see that everyone is getting some rest and relaxation in there. It's really important that because the experience that your kids really want is you. They may think that they want Disney. They may think that they want whatever, and they do, but that's societal programming. As children, what their heart most desires is fun. As children, what their heart most desires is time with you. As children, what their heart most desires is time with you where you're happy and relaxed. As children, what their heart desires is time where you're resting and relaxing together and doing things that you all enjoy. That's what their heart really desires. Now, if you can throw in some societal glam that they can boast to their friends about, that never hurts. But if you can't, that's okay too. You don't have to feel guilty about that or shameful about that. And you can be straight up with them and tell them why. And the more that you and your partner are considering what's really healthy for your children and for your family, emotionally, financially, and you're on the same page, the less likely you are to have one of these big vacation budget blowouts. Now, you may be listening to this and you may be on vacation. So I'm going to suggest to you that if you're on vacation and you've already had one of these blowouts, or if it's post-vacation, you've already had these blowouts, do a little detox right now. Sit down with your partner and say, hey, you know what? I didn't really listen to what you had to say. I was so stuck on my point of view and being right that I didn't really hear you. I'd like to really hear you. And maybe tell them I was listening to this guy on this podcast who reminded me that my kids' well-being, our kids' well-being is really what's important. How can we resuscitate the time we have left so that we're really enjoying each other? We both feel relaxed and the kids are really enjoying their time with us. What could we do? What can we do with this? How can we be with each other so that we can have a better, more restful, more relaxing, more nurturing experience together. There's still time for that. I would love to hear your war stories. I would love to hear your success stories. And if we're going to be on this theme of budgets and money fights for a few weeks to come, we're going to do a master class. I'm not even sure what we've called it yet, but let's call it the Joyful and Abundant Marriage Masterclass or something like along those lines. It's how to not have that freaking money fight. All right. We're going to do a masterclass on how to not have that money fight, how to have an experience where you both feel fulfilled, happy, and satisfied around whatever finances there are. We're going to do a masterclass just on this in the beginning of September. So, and this is what we're going to be covering for weeks leading up to it, because I want to make sure you really have as much depth and background on this topic as possible before you come to the masterclass. Look for the masterclass on our website, richinrelationship.com. That's RICHINRELATIONSHIP.com. SHIP.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Rich in Relationship.